Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time I'm stopping by, please subscribe to my channel. If you're a returning subscriber, you guys have my heart. Thank you so much for supporting me. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at this. So we're going to be looking at the cost of sponsoring Nclex-Rn self-sponsorship. So sometimes some persons have the opportunity to be sponsored by an agency and this make them to spend less. Other times you have to start everything from scratch down to the end. So let's say you want to start everything from scratch down to the end. What is the cost? What is the cost? That is what we'll look at in today's video. So we're going to be looking at what it would cost you to sponsor yourself from start to finish of writing Nclex-Rn. So I'm going to be specifically focusing on Nigeria because that is actually where I wrote my Nclex from, and that's where we've been helping a lot of persons, considering the fact that other places have Nclex Center already, right? So if you're a Nigerian registered nurse and you want to tour the US process or the US pathway, and then you want to know the cost, of course, you have to know the cost before you start the process. This video is for you, so stay tuned. So if you have not watched my previous video on step-by-step process of becoming a US registered nurse, please do well to watch that video because I'm not going to go deep into the step-by-step process today. Today I'm going to focus on the cost of self-sponsorship, the cost of becoming a US RN if you are a Nigerian registered nurse. Of course, other nurses from other places can borrow a lift from here, but my focus is for Nigerian registered nurses because that is where I actually proceed from. So first off, like I said in my previous video, you need to create an account with CGFNS. That is, if you're using a board of nursing that requires you to do that. So most persons go with Texas Board of Nursing. So if you're going with Texas Board of Nursing, you need to create an account with CGFNS. CGFNS actually help with credential evaluation. So you need that. You really need that, So how much does it cost to create an account, and pay for the processing of your credentials with CGFNS? Note that before I even go into the cost, please note that this video is going to focus on today's rate, the fee that we have today. And these fees, please note that the fees that we have today is what I'm focusing on. These fees are being reviewed from time to time. So you could see $100 today and tomorrow or next month, you're going to see a different fee. So please, we're going to use today's fee to have the cost of what it takes. So first I'm going to start with CGFNS. How much do you need to pay? You need $485. Please take notes. That is what you pay for your CES, credential evaluation services. So you need $485 for CGFNS. I'm going to make another video about this. If you're using New York Board of Nursing, you might not need to create an account with CGFNS. But then, in the long run, you may actually need it. So watch out for the video that will be talking about New York Board of Nursing and what you need to know about it if you're intending to use that. But if you're using other Board of Nursing that require CES, you will definitely need CGFNS credential evaluation services. So you pay $485 for that. Now, after processing all your documents, which I explained in the previous video, I'm not going to go back over that. So you pay $70 to $100 for your Board of Nursing. Now, it depends on which Board of Nursing, but you should budget between $70 to $100 for your Board of Nursing. Now, the next fee you're going to pay is to register or create an account or register with Identico. So for you to be able to do your background check, you need to pay a sum of $39 to Identico. that is what you pay. So for CGFNS is 485. Board of Nursing registration is $70 to $100. You will pay that and you're able to create an account. Yeah, and then the next is $39 for a then go. And note that after paying that, you need to get the fingerprint card, and that could cost you about 15,000 or so, depending on where you're getting it from. Yeah, you could get it from Amazon, you could get it from any other place, but just budget between 15 to 20,000 to get the fingerprint card if you cannot get it on your own. Yeah. The next step is registering for Nclex, and that will cost you about $200. Yes, registering for Nclex costs you about $200. And when I say registering for Nclex, it means creating an account with person view and the rest, and then you register. It costs you about $200. And for scheduling of your Nclex, now this depends on the country where you want to schedule your Nclex. If you are actually scheduling your Nclex in other countries, you budget $150. But if you are scheduling your Nclex in the UK, budget $180. Yeah, so it's a bit expensive compared to other region. So for UK it's $180. For other places it is $150. And then you schedule your exams with $150 or $180. Yeah, and that is that. So if you calculate everything I had just mentioned, $485, 70 to 100 if we use 100 here, $39, $200, and then $150 or $180, it's going to give you approximately $1,000. So that is what you're going to be paying in dollars if you're sponsoring yourself to write the Nclex-Rn. Yeah, now that is not all. That is not all. That isn't everything. Yeah, so we're still proceeding, but this time around, this is what you pay in Naira, right? You pay this in Naira, and the ones I mentioned earlier was what you have to pay in dollars. All right, so in Naira, you will need about 1 to 2 million for your flights. Now, these are not fixed prices. Please take note, these fees are not fixed because the dollar exchange rate affects how much it's going to cost you. Yeah, so I'm not going to say for real you'll need 2 million, because if the dollar goes up to 1,500 to 1,000, that is also going to affect how much you need, right? So use the day's rate to calculate how much you need, and if you're going to pay everything at once, so you don't have to pay when the dollar has gone up. All right, so you need about 1 to 2 million naira for your flights, and this covers your flights, let's say from Nigeria to Kenya, or sometimes to Philippines, depending on where you want to write the tests, the exams. So it actually depends on where you want to write the exams, but then the budget should be between 1 to 2 million or so for your flights, right? And then you also need to pay for accommodation. That's the hotel where you're going to stay when you get to the country, because some embassy would request for proof of where you want to stay when you get to the country. So sometimes hotel could take you $100, $150, depending. And you also need some money. You need about $300 to $500 for your transportation, your feeding throughout your stay in that country. So if you put all this together, let's say the hotel is $200 or $300, and then you also need like $500 to go with for your feeding, your transportation. That sums up to about $700 plus our $1,000 earlier. So that gives us about $1,700, excluding the flight fare. Excluding the flight fare of about $1 million or $2 million, I decided to use Naira for that here. So excluding the flight fare of about 1 to 2 million Naira, so we have $1,700 approximately, plus the 2 million if we were to keep it at that rate. So you use the day's rate to calculate how much that will cost you, right? And if you're to put everything together, I know that currently we might have a dollar rate of about 1,500 or so. So let's assume we are using 1,500 to calculate. So we're going to have 1,500 times 1,700. That gives us approximately 2.550 million. And then if you are to add your flight fare, keeping it at 2 million, let's say 2 million flight fare, that gives us about 4.5 million. So approximately, if you have 5 million naira, you could process your Nclex-Rn from start to finish, to writing the exams. Not everything. You still need to spend more after the exams, yeah, if you don't sign up with an agency. But then for you to be able to start the process from scratch, to finish, you need approximately 5 million. That should be your budget for Nclex-Rn self-sponsorship. Yeah, so I hope this answers your question, because I've been getting so many questions about the cost. So this video is for you if you want to know the cost to write Nclex-Rn. Now watch out for my next video, as I'll be talking about a very interesting topic. I know you would want to see it. Please subscribe to my channel. See you in my next video. Bye.